It's weird how people kind of get almost indoctrinated into the detractor community who have been fans of mine over the years. It's weird because it has nothing to do with me. I didn't do anything.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News Second Edition. I'm your host. Let's get right into it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I have a pretty interesting video for you. So hopefully you guys like that. This is going to be on this is still going over the SOPA and PIPA situation from back in 2011. Now, this isn't the very first video he put out, which has, I mean, after all these years, I should say, has maybe like 800,000 views. It doesn't even have a million. But it was one of those big videos that put Phil into this particular stratosphere where he thought, you know, this was going to continue to push his popularity, and it eventually faded out because, for one, he did a bunch of these videos. He periodically just kept doing a bunch of these videos, hoping and having the expectation that it would be as big as the first one, which is one of Phil's major problems, is his expectations when it comes to something. Just because you do one thing that turns out to be successful doesn't mean that everything else that comes after that will be successful. You're only as good as your last video or as your last broadcast, or so on and so forth. Yes, people will overlook certain discrepancies, or will look over certain instances and so on and so forth. But in truth, and to the general public, especially the people who are finding your content for the first time and so on and so forth, that's how they're going to judge you moving forward. When someone comes to this channel, for example, like if you guys follow me on the main channel and you decide to come here, you're going to kind of judge what you see on this channel from the first video you see on this channel. You're not going to go to the very first video that I did a voiceover for, or I reacted to, and be like, okay, this is my starting point with GTG on the second channel, and then move forward. You're not going to do that. I mean, most people who come over here, like some of you who are just seeing this video for the first time, you're not going to check my catalog and then go ahead and come up to a judgment of, and then form an opinion of what it is that I do. You're going to judge it off what you see here. Phil, for whatever reason, never picked that up. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. But that's why one of the sayings over here, and I just came to realize too, because real quick sidetrack, someone on Twitter DM'd me, and like it was like a small list of like all the different catchphrases and sayings that I've said over my period of time. I didn't realize how many there were. But I think one of the, I don't know, I like them all, but then again, I said them, so of course I did. But of course I do. But I think one of the ones that you should grasp, and I'd like to see a lot of people use moving forward, not use, but live by, like, you know what I'm saying, fuck using it, but live by it, is always make your next move your best move, right? And Phil never learned that lesson. He is too dependent on people being invested in him instead of in the content. You know what I'm saying? Because if the content grips you, then you're kind of already invested in the person who makes the content, right? You know what I'm saying? But Phil don't understand that. He would rather you be invested in him. And this is someone who, yet again, has a very especially early on, which is what we're working towards. That's the whole point of this channel in a lot of ways, is you have someone who has a very low opinion of himself because he always judged the opinion of himself upon others. He needed other people to validate him, which is that of the weak, to be honest. You cannot go through life like that. If you don't like yourself, then other people will more than likely not like you, because people can pick up on things like that. That's a very easy telltale thing. People who don't have a lot of confidence are usually people who are preyed upon. And the reason why is because that's something that, like animals that can smell fear, or they can smell it. A lot of people say sense it, but smell it. Smell is a sense. Can sense fear. Same concept in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? No one has a reason to respect the weak. Not to say that you shouldn't defend people who are weaker than you, or so on and so forth. That you should always do that. You know what I'm saying? Under reasonable circumstances. You should always do that. But for someone like Phil, who, when he tries to go out here and talk amongst, people, like actual people, not sheep, not his cult, but actual people, and people disagree with him, what is the first thing he does? Gets confrontational, and then he runs back to the pig cult, and then have them build him up again, and build his confidence up so he can go back out and interact with normal people again. That's wild. That is really, really wild type of behavior to be having, especially for someone his age, but I think he's always been that way. And that's why he grips on, in my opinion, to John the way he does. Like, don't get me wrong, we're going to mirror that video, the John and Howard response here, and then I'm going to do a reaction to that later on. I'll do a video with that later on after that. But I think that's the reason why he grips on the John the way he did, is John was someone who was constantly giving him positive reinforcement, someone who Phil always knew who would have his back, and was that shoulder to lean on, if you will, 24/7 pretty much. With that being said, losing John was devastating. And you look at Phil now, I think the proof is in the pudding on that. To be honest with you, losing John, losing Vidal, and losing Panda in a lot of ways are some of the single most devastating things to hurt Phil. Now, not in just the way of his ego or his arrogance or anything like that. Like, look at his content after losing all those individuals. The content speaks for itself because he based so much of himself on it. You know what I'm saying? He can't disconnect from this shit and then go on to his life like he tries to say he does. He can't. This is his life. He's not like a Markiplier or a PewDiePie or whatever. They make their video and then they disconnect to this shit and they actually got other shit to do. They got other shit to look forward to. Phil don't. He really, really don't. Outside of the cult, the only thing he can look forward to is what the detractors have to say about him, because the detractors are so much of his life, by his own design. He's made us part of his life. Initially he made us part of his routine, and in turn he's made us part of his life. So it's not just, I wouldn't say physically, because physically no one's assaulting him, but like the verbal assault that I put on Phil right now, just like any other detractor would, he takes that so personally that he treats it as a physical attack. And like any physical attack, it's going to leave scars. You know what I'm saying? It's going to cause a wound, I should say, and then it's going to leave a scar. And Phil shows all the symptoms of someone who has endured quite a bit of mental damage and or scarring over the years. It's kind of interesting to see and whatnot. It's even more interesting to try to comprehend it. But that is the thing. Anyway, so we're gonna get into this video right here. Should be fun. Do I have any PSAs for you guys? Not necessarily, to be honest. Oh, well, I will say this, because some people here have asked. I'm not sponsored. So the two trailers, or one trailer, however I decide to do it, or whenever I do it, it depends on how I feel. For those two games, respectfully, I'm not being sponsored by either one of them. It'd be funny if I was, but I'm not. It's a joke. It's a jab that I'm taking at Phil. You get it, you get it. You don't, you know. But I'm not sponsored. It'd be great if I was. it'd be even funnier. But no, I'm not sponsored. So there you go. And I don't run ads on any of the channels. The channels aren't monetized. And if they were, I'd tell you. Because why not? All right, so that's the end of that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into the funnies, because that's what you guys are here for. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take you guys back to December 3rd of 2011. DSPGaming. Channel update. Health update. SOPA and PIPA status. YouTube changes and more. ladies and gentlemen, this should be a good one. Now, for some of you who have been asking, this is not the coup de grace, or this isn't the very first video that he did that made all this popularity for him. We're not there yet. We're getting there though. But this isn't that big video he's been chasing. This is just another one that I picked. And since I'm doing all of this out of sequence or whatever, because I don't plan my shit out, we're just kind of going through the motions with it. But you'll see the build up, and hopefully by the time we get to that first video, you'll see why he did so many of these. And I think hopefully you guys will understand why he was chasing this, and I'll give you guys some of my thoughts on why, what he had riding on SOPA and PIPA and on his coverage of it, and how he was trying to expand out of gaming into something else, which would have only gotten his ass chewed up immensely. Speaking of which, I actually do have a couple of things that I'd like to say. Big ups to everybody here at GTG Network and Productions that's helping me out on the main channel. I very much appreciate it. Ghostly Wins is wrapped up in that too. I mean, we all consider him part of the family here and part of the team anyway and whatnot. So big ups to him. But I guess somebody over there ended up clipping a piece of the who was on that? The Nick Rekieta podcast. It had Lightside Bill, it had Agent Proper, and it had that one of Nick Rekieta's Discord mods, or I think that's what it is, a Discord mod or administrator. And someone had clipped out the thing with someone on this that's part of GTG Network and Productions, because I have an axe too. Anyway, clipped out the portion where it went over the restreaming and copyright and everything, and Nick cleared all that up. So if you guys get a chance to check that out, go ahead. But it goes back to something that detractors have been saying for a while, that there's nothing illegal about it. Oh, and I think they went over the licensing thing about the games, which I've already torn that apart. So any of you guys who have followed me from the main channel, you guys already see me cut that up. So you don't even have to worry about that. But Nick just kind of reinforces what I had already said about that. But the whole situation with restreaming and everything, Nick cleans all that up. But what that points out, and this is something, like I said before Nick, plenty of other detractors, including myself, have said it, that Phil really doesn't know what he's talking about with, I would say, 80% of the shit that he says. And the reason why is because it's real world experience and common sense, and he lacks both. And it's sad for someone who's been on this platform for that long. Trust me, there's plenty of people who've been on this platform for probably over a decade, and there's a lot they don't know. There's plenty of people who have over 100,000 subscribers and don't understand shit about shit. But it's amazing to me how little Phil knows and or understands about the world that he interacts with. And when I say the world he interacts with, I'm not talking about the real world, because he's very disconnected from that. But as it pertains to YouTube and Twitch, like, he literally has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about when it comes to the game industry. He's literally shitting in the dark on his own floor, and then gets mad when he gets called out on it. And that's really the basis of it. You have an individual who believes he's built up a kingdom, and he can say whatever he wants and no one's going to question it, because they're all dumb kids who aren't going to know shit anyway, right? Or wheelchair symbols, and that aren't going to speak up against them. But then when someone else comes from the outside and says, nah, he's wrong, and let me explain why he's wrong, then all of a sudden everybody's the enemy of the Snort. You know what I'm saying? And they need to be eradicated. But you can't eradicate somebody like Nick. You can't even really get rid of your own detractors. You can get them deplatformed off Twitch, but the game is still, the hunt for Piggy October and whatnot, big ups to Aladdin Jin, still continues. He can't stop that. And so I think, as it pertains to 2020, the dismantling of his ego and of his confidence is going to be one of the pillars that should go into whoever it is that's going to be making the top 10 worst moments of DSP. I think it's going to be Secret Life, maybe, or whatnot. It doesn't matter who and whatnot. Like, I think everyone that's been made has been done extremely well. So it doesn't matter who does it. But I think that's going to be one of the telltale signs, whether he gets out of this Chapter 7 or not. You know what I mean? So, or out of his bankruptcy, I should say. So that's a thing. Anyway, if you guys want updates on that, you should definitely check out James the Lesser and whatnot. I've heard a couple of things, but I haven't looked into it that deep. I'll get to it eventually, and so on and so forth. As soon as I can get this stuff done with the main channel, then we can get to that 341 call. I actually re-recorded it and I added a bunch of stuff to it to try to tell, to kind of give a much more flushed out story. So hopefully you guys like it when that eventually goes up. Anyway, enough of all that talking on my part. Let's go ahead and get to the funnies. And yeah, I'll see you guys in a few. This is DSP News Second Edition. See you guys in a second.
What's going on, everyone? Darksydephil here, and welcome to...
Jesus Christ, you look fucking horrible. Like, he looks fucking horrible. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Darksydephil. Channel update, health update, SOPA status, YouTube changes, and more. This is from December 3rd of 2011. Let's get it. Jesus Christ. Debbie looks horrible, dude. And that's another thing, too, real quick. Because it says health update, so I assume that the piggy was sick. And Jesus Christ, when the piggy is sick, the whole world is crumbling on around him. It's amazing. But don't get me wrong, I guess when any of us are sick and you feel like you're dying, or you feel like the whole world is about to crumble on you. So I guess that's the thing. I can't shit on him too much. But if this guy took better care of himself, when he does get sick, it wouldn't be so bad, and or he wouldn't try to milk it for so long. You know what I mean? Like right now, this idiot has an ear infection, right, or something along those lines. It sounds actually a whole lot worse than just an ear infection, to be honest. But it is what it is. He sounds horrible, and granted, we can't sit there and shit on him and say, "Oh, go to the doctor or do this, do that." But like, maybe just maybe, you taking a day or two from streaming might not be a bad idea. Maybe you asking Catherine to go in there and actually clean up that pigsty that you call an office is not a bad idea. Maybe you actually disinfecting everything that's in there, your controllers, your consoles, your keyboard, actually, make an effort to actually clean up and try to actually do well by yourself would be a good idea in a room that you spend 8 hours a day in, if not more. You know what I'm saying? 8 hours a day in, plus, if you will. You would think common sense would be a thing. Well, I'd say it's about 8 hours. I don't think he spends more than 8 hours in that office, to be honest. Well, pre-streams get kind of long. Let's say 8 hours. 8 hours plus. So I'll go back to my original statement. But yet again, you would think that would be a thing. And he thinks because, I'm not interacting with the outside world, I have nothing to worry about. You interact with Kat. Well, you don't interact with her the way other men interact with her. But you know what I mean. You interact with her. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. So if she has it, you have it. Under reasonable circumstances. So, and since you're in your room, walloping in your own filth, maybe it would behoove you, get it? Behoove? All right, bad joke. I think it's funny. But maybe it would behoove you a little bit to, clean that place the fuck up. And maybe, just maybe, since he's not a people person, because he's not, maybe going out and walking around your neighborhood and getting yourself a little bit of exercise won't hurt either. But he swears to God that, if you work 8 hours or more, you don't have time to go to the gym. You don't have time to cook your own meals. You don't have time to hang out with friends because you have to worry about work all day. It's retarded, yeah, absolutely. Because everybody else can do it, but not Phil. But it's the reason why he is where he is, though. And it's the reason why he suffers the way he does. The true king of suffering, ladies and gentlemen.
To a channel update for December 3rd, 2011. The first video I've put out in several days since I've been sick, under the weather. As you know, the last video I put up was on Wednesday. I really wasn't feeling too hot. As you can hear right now, I'm still not 100%, not even close yet. Still really congested. Still got the drip coming down the back of my throat to my chest, and so I'm all congested here in my throat. Still every 5 minutes I need to blow my...
Is this supposed to be the post-nasal drip? He didn't call it. He didn't call it post-nasal. Well, it's really just nasal drip, but whatever. He's not calling it post-nasal drip here.
I know. So I'll be very surprised if I even get through this video without having to, blow my nose or clear my throat. So yeah, I'm not in any condition to go back to doing, full.
Oh yeah, and the fact that our boy here doesn't bathe every day. He thinks it's okay going 2 days, maybe even 3 days without taking a bath or taking a shower. And the reason why that's a thing, right, is because he complains about how hot his office is, and at times you can see him sweating through his. You can see the armpit stains under his shirt, or under his armpits, if I should say. So it's very obvious that you're perspiring, and maybe, just maybe, if you and Catherine do sleep in the same room, I argue if she's even in that house at this particular point, but let me gather my evidence. Let me give me some time with that. But I find it a bit. I find it a bit unbelievable that Catherine would be willing to go ahead and sleep next to this individual who probably smells like rotting spam every day, because he feels that taking a bath every day, at least once a day, is a bit too much for him to do. Now, granted, this is the same individual who needs, or at least he used to, I assume he still uses it, who used to have a shower stool in his shower, because he couldn't stand up for long periods of time because his back would hurt. And that's a thing. If you go back and look at some of Phil's old condo videos back in Connecticut, you see it. He actually explained why it's there and what he uses it for. So at this time, our boy here was using a shower stool. I doubt he stopped using one now, if he has to use a hand cart to wheel up 25 pounds up his stairs. Just something to think about.
Time gaming and playthroughs yet, but I said, you know what, I'm not dying sick. I haven't had a fever in at least a day at this point. I said, let me at least do an update video so everyone knows how I'm doing, what I feel about the stuff that's been going on while I haven't been making videos, which, by the way, has been a lot of stuff going on, if you can believe it. And so first of all, I'm still sick. I'm not 100%. I don't plan on probably being 100%, or at least attempting to even try to do full playthroughs again until Monday at the earliest, probably more than likely Tuesday. What it's looking like is John Rambo might be coming down on Tuesday, since we didn't get to do anything this weekend. It was going to be my personal time off, but now it just ends up me actually being... There's a cobweb hanging from my ceiling here.
Yeah, you don't clean up. That's an interesting point, though. So John Rambo was supposed to come down Tuesday. This weekend was supposed to be his personal time off anyway, and then all of a sudden, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, snort, snort, we sick. Well, isn't that interesting? That's a strange kind of coincidence. Huh. So it's not like Phil was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go ahead and extend my personal time off a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and probably drink myself a little bit silly over the next couple days because I got nothing to worry about, because my job of playing video games for the internet is just so strenuous, so stressful, so physically and mentally what's the word I'm looking for? I want something impactful. I would say enduring, but not that. I want to say stressful, but that's a joke. We'll go with the joke then. It's so stressful upon me that I need to go ahead and give myself a couple extra days so I can have my gin and tonics, or my gin and Sprites, and just kind of, relax for about 5 days, which is something Phil has done before, especially our current timeline is 2020. He did that back in like 2017. He said that he was taking days off, which is when he was flying Catherine from Michigan to Washington, and there's a couple other instances too. So, how sick was he really? And Phil says when he wakes up in the morning that he usually feels congested and clogged up. He says that he feels like that daily, which is definitely not a good sign. You shouldn't be waking up every day feeling like that, but semantics. So now I'm starting to question how sick is he really? Oh well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, I guess.
Ends up me just trying to recover from being sick, but he's probably going to come down on Tuesday. We'll probably do an episode of Smart Guys and do some co-op gameplay. From what he's told me, he actually has a lot of downloaded characters in WWE 12. He did buy the game, and he has like a full roster of wrestlers from like all over the world. And so we may be messing around with that on Tuesday, but we'll see. But anyway, that's probably the first you'll see me doing any gameplay. If something changes and by some crazy reason I feel better, like a little bit better on Monday, maybe I'll try to do some, but I'm not going to be doing like a full day's worth of videos. I really want to give this rest enough time so that I'm not rushing back into.
Keep in mind, a full day of work back then was like 4 hours. By the way, just putting that out there. It was about 4 hours.
To what I usually do, and then I end up overworking myself, and then I end up getting sick again. So I need to get healthy. I need to
overwork myself. Boy, the gin is speaking to me here. And I'm not even drinking. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm drinking my Snortbucks because of course I am. But there is no hard snorts going on right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm calling bullshit. But we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and whatnot, but I'm thinking bullshit. I'm thinking bullshit. Because it's funny how I'm starting to feel a little bit better right around the time John's supposed to be showing up. So in a couple of days, I think I'll be a whole lot better when John pops up. John, the real star of the show, the ones where he's in those videos, they perform, better than some of my usual content. If it's not a brand new game or the first couple of videos in a brand new game, semantics.
get healthy so that I can finish off my plans that I have for the rest of the year, which is beat Zelda Skyward Sword, beat Skyrim, and then do my top 10 best games of the year, do the top 10 fan-voted funniest moments of the year, and also do my best music remixes montage. Is all this going to happen by the end of December? I don't know.
Meaning no. So yeah, he basically had a full plate of shit lined up for him, and he was like, yeah, I need to take some days off. So the sick thing, I'm calling bullshit. He may have a cold, but he isn't so bad that on his sick days, ladies and gentlemen, not playing video games, because video games are so stressful, his 4 hours a day, that he couldn't be editing videos together. While he's been sick over these last couple days or a week or however long it eventually was, he could have been editing stuff together. He could have been doing that a couple hours a day. Because, but then again, most of you are like, well, come on, GTG. He's a terrible editor, and if video games are so hard for him to play for 4 hours a day and whatnot because he's so sick, you really think he would edit videos together? No, probably not, but he should have. He should have. All he's doing is pushing his workload further and further back, which in turn is screwing himself over. Is it really a year-end series if you're not doing it at the end of the year? That's kind of like that whole what's the thing going on in our current timeline? That the celebratory thing for the 50 vest streak. I think that recently just came out. I haven't seen it yet, but I know people were talking about it on Twitter. But what was it? Like it was when they hit vest streak 63 or 64 when they finally ended up finding out what that was or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? That should have been done at 50. And he was hyping it up way before they even hit 50. So there's no reason why it shouldn't have gotten done. But then again, Phil didn't do it. Someone else is doing it. So I can't shit on that person. You know what I'm saying? Because Phil, throughout this whole vest streak nonsense, by the way, has been weaving in the doubt into people that, oh, well, I don't think you guys are going to be able to hit it. I don't think this is going to continue. I think the vest streak is going to eventually end. Now, I understand why he's doing it. He's doing it to try to keep people motivated to contribute to it. What he doesn't realize is he's poisoning the water. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's screwing himself up by doing it like that, because if people feel that Phil doesn't actually believe in it himself, then why should they continue to contribute to it? Or, and this is another reason why he does it like that, he's trying to mentally not become dependent on it. The problem is there's a sound clip out there, because I think I heard about it on Kiwi Farms, but I haven't been over there in a couple days, so I'm not sure what's going on. But that they said that someone caught a sound clip of him saying something about, oh, they're going to hit the vest streak, it's guaranteed almost every time or whatever. So he's already kind of got them suckered into it, and more importantly, he is very dependent on it. So he's fucked himself on two fronts. One, he's poisoning the water, sowing doubt into the very people who want to keep seeing this vest goal. And two, he was trying to mentally not become dependent on it, and turns out he's actually is mentally dependent on it. He fucked himself over doing it this way. Because he's a fucking idiot. Because he's a goddamn idiot. And he doesn't realize that if people like something, they'll continue to contribute to it. They'll continue to work towards it. As they've done his whole fucking entire career of garbage. People have continued to, one way or another, whether behind the scenes or publicly, fought for him to get him where he is now. You think Phil Burnell got to where he is now by himself? You're out your goddamn mind. And yet again, he's going to go ahead and piss on these people, right? And try to sow doubt amongst them, thinking that's going to save the day. And then, if I had to surmise, all that money is going to fuel WWE Champions anyway, because where are we at now in the narrative? He's part of a guild, or he started his own guild, if you will, or covenant, whatever, called this isn't a test, or this is a test, or whatever that shit is. He's got that. But wasn't he already part of a guild called Placeholders? Or didn't he start that guild? Or whatever? I don't know. I don't know what stupid shit's going on with all that. I need to actually read up on it a little bit more, because I'm sure it's way more interesting than I'm describing it. Or you can just wait till like LSB does like a weekend preview, and then he'll lay it all out there. But either which way, if he is going solo, completely and totally solo, he has no choice but to continue to throw money into WWE Champions. So one, he can keep his name high in the standings, right? And more importantly, so he can attract people to him. Because let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, that whole one-man army bullshit has always been bullshit. John has pretty much been there with Phil since damn near the beginning. If you think about it. He's almost always been there for Phil in the beginning. When it comes to his content, when it comes to support, and so on and so forth. Panda, Howard, and everybody else also helps contribute to that. Even Brightside Viking and some of those dudes have helped contribute to him. He's not doing this alone. So if he thinks that he's going to be able to go ahead and fund his own guild, a guild of one person by himself, is ridiculous. And he knows that. So he needs to attract people to him. He needs to attract people to him. The problem is his name is so tainted right now that he can't. He can't. And here's the thing that most people are overlooking. Now, I think Nigel from UKIP on Kiwi Farms is the one who does the deep diving shit. But I think Nigel might see it. I don't know if he would agree with me on this, but there's something about that WWE Champions thing and some of the people who play that game that's kind of a thing. There's something that's a bit off-putting about that, or there's something that rubs me wrong about it. And when that one guy ended up getting his information leaked, he was quick to go ahead and get Phil the fuck up and out of there, or ask Phil to leave, or whatever the situation was, and then put out the PSA to everybody else: hey, this guy has an open wallet, deep pockets, but be ready for the shit that comes with it. If I had to guess, the people who play that game in the high roller section, because all that shit's broken up into tiers, those people probably have something to hide. Obviously, everybody has something to hide. It's the internet. But but I assume there's something a bit more. Let's reword that. There's more. I surmise there's something deeper going on in that WWE Champions thing that we know of. I'm not talking about Phil. I'm not talking about DSP. I'm not talking about Darksydephil. I'm not talking about Dark Geppetto. Let's move that to the side for a minute. Okay? Let's move that to the side for a second. I mean, I think there's something going on in that WWE Champions Discords and whatnot, and there was a reason why they wanted to get Phil out, because they don't want to get, I think the people in these Discords, in those WWE Discords, I should say, didn't want some of the real workings to get out, and whatever that is. Now, I have a couple of theories on what I think that is, but until I get more information, I actually decide to look at it a little further, I'm gonna hold off on my opinions for right now. But Phil, it was our foray into that. He was our point man, if you will, into whatever it is that actually goes on in there. And I think it's something that even Phil doesn't notice. And it has to do a lot with money. and how money is spent, how money is used, and more than likely, not that I'm trying to imply that something illegal is going on in there, but if there is a way to milk stupid people of a lot of money, then they'll do it. And if you remember, when uselessness first was exposed, and then DSP was exposed for being associated with it, they fought hard as shit to keep him. And they only let him, and he really only got let go when that guy got doxxed, or allegedly got doxxed, or got threatened to get doxxed, whatever the case may be. Something else is going on in there. And maybe not even in just the uselessness one, probably in all of those bigger ones, those big high rolling guilds. There's something going on, and they didn't want no part of it. And that's why I think no one's picked up Phil yet. Because, I think people from uselessness started to put the word out, hey, this dude right here, he's cancer. And the people that follow him are no fucking joke. So whatever it is that we're doing, we need to close it off to those people. Now, that's just a surmise. Because I know that Kiwi Farms has an inside man in on there. But he's there focusing on Phil. I don't know if he's actually privy to some of the actual shit that goes on amongst the other high rollers. But it could be a thing. Because they were quick to get him the fuck up and out of there. And I'm not saying you threatening to be doxxed isn't enough of a motivation. I'm just saying to do that, kick him out, and that's it. Why are you going to go ahead and send PSAs to everybody else, to all the other big guilds, these organizations, if you will, that are considered your rivals? Why would you go ahead and put the PSA out to this guy and be like, hey, pick him up at your own discretion, but I don't think he's worth it. And I don't think they did that out of the courtesy of their hearts and shit. I don't think they did that out of the goodness of their hearts. I think they did it for a reason. There's something that they want to keep real quiet in that whole WWE universe thing they got going on over there. And they did, and Phil was damn near, he possibly could have blown the lid off on something bigger. My example before we move on is the escort situation. You know what I'm saying? And we were, you know what I'm saying? Funny story. A lot of people believed it. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people just reported on it because it was hilarious. And that led into something much bigger. At first, it led us to, oh, well, you're paying to go ahead and shuffle Catherine back and forth across country. I mean, I'm not calling Catherine a prostitute, but, or an escort, but you are paying for the companionship of someone else. So he was doing that. And then that whole catfishing empire that got discovered outside of that. I'm not saying this WWE Champions is that. Not at all. But there is something going on over there that those people don't want getting out. Just saying. And you can't exactly kick Phil out of the game altogether. Because one, I assume none of them have the authority to do it. And two, he brings in too much money. He spends too much money. So maybe whatever's going on over there isn't even illegal. But maybe they figured out a way to fleece a lot of high rollers for their own benefit. And they do it in a way that maybe even these people don't understand. Just something to think about. I'm just throwing it out there as a theory. But it could be a thing. DSPNEWS.
And as you know, the first week of January, I'm going to MagFest that weekend. So I guess my goal would be to get all of that wrapped up and done by the time I go to MagFest, okay? Speaking of MagFest, big announcement coming up. Within the next couple of days, I may be making this announcement. It all depends, but big announcement regarding MagFest, and the surprise that we have for you at MagFest will be coming up shortly. But anyway, so what I'm really thinking of doing is a lot of things have been going on over the past couple of days.
These screenshots are fucking hilarious. Wasn't MagFest the first time they introduced Project 7? Or was that later on? Interesting. Maybe not. Maybe it was just a booth or something. I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Which I'm going to talk about in this video. But I'm definitely feeling that maybe with either today or tomorrow, I'll be I'll be up to it, like healthy enough to put up my Christmas tree. I think that probably maybe later today I'm going to do it. Unless I really feel beat, then I'll probably do it tomorrow. But I want to put up my Christmas tree. We're already here, December 3rd. I mean, we're already into December, and usually I put it up that week of Thanksgiving. And last year I got caught up with too much work I was doing. This year had nothing to do with that. It was because I was sick. So I want to get that Christmas tree up. As you know, my Christmas tree is different from everyone else's. I put a lot of gaming related.
You're gonna notice in a lot of these older videos, it's something that he pushes. He pushed this narrative a lot about my Christmas tree, my work schedule, my work life, how I think is very different from everybody else. He's been painting this picture of how fucking unique he's been pretty much forever. And it's the most pathetic thing you'll ever hear. It really is. You're not fucking special, Phil. You have a pre-lit tree with a bunch of gaming paraphernalia on it. I'm sure there are other people who do that too. He wouldn't know because he don't talk to none of those people. And the people he do talk to, maybe they don't do that. That doesn't make you special. For all the people who walk this planet to think that you are the exception to the rules, which is what he said, it's very much a Brunel thing. It really is.
Stuff and things on there. It's pretty cool when I do it. So definitely check those videos out when they go up. You'll also notice that behind me, a lot of the things that previously were behind me on my countertop have vanished. This is because actually yesterday my parents came over because I was sick, and they brought me supplies and they helped me out. They helped me basically clean out my condo. So it's a lot less cluttered now. A lot of the boxes and shit that I had in here that were just taken up.
Oh boy, you guys are going to get what I'm saying in a minute. This is how helpless of a piece of garbage Phil Brunel is. He had to convince he probably didn't even convince his parents. His parents probably just came over there to check and see how he was doing, bring him some soup, bring him some food, because Phil can't cook for shit, and he can't do his own laundry, right? That's another thing too, by the way. So I would assume he was probably going to his parents' house once a week to have his mom do his laundry for him. That's possibly a thing, because when Panda left his ass, he said that was the first time he had to actually learn how to use a washing machine. So just to give you guys a little foray into that, just to give you guys a little bit of spotlight into that, to the lore, because that's what we're here for, right? So this idiot had his parents came by to check on him, see how he's doing, because he was probably bitching, complaining, and squealing like a pig about how sick he is, quote unquote. Jen, Tangeray, don't mind any of that. Come by and they look at his fucking apartment, or sorry, not his apartment, but his condo. It's pretty much an apartment, a really small ass apartment, to be honest. They come look at his condo and they're like, the fuck are you doing with your money? And they're like, okay, this needs to get squared up. This shouldn't happen. And since Phil has a hoarding problem, which he does, and in a lot of older videos, you're gonna find that he has a bunch of these he has a bunch of packages that come in, and he breaks the boxes down and just leaves it in his kitchen for like weeks at a time, if not months at a time. And I would assume people like John and Howard are like, hey man, let's walk this downstairs and get this out of here, because you don't need to have that all here. That shit can breed roaches and other things. Oh, well, okay, let's go ahead and do that then. You know what I'm saying? Since he needs somebody else to do everything, they probably came over there and they were like, you're a grown-ass man, and you're living in squalor. Absolute squalor. And so it's a combination of pitying him and then shaming him that they have to come over and clean his fucking condo. And this is 2011. 2014, and I think 2015, because I think they visited him in Washington once, maybe twice. But I know the first time they went over there, or at least one of the times they went over there, they went in there to fix a toilet, which is probably the same toilet that's broken now. They went to paint Panda's room. They went ahead and helped him hang a bunch of shit, like pictures and stuff like that. They cleaned up his yard, right? They showed him how the fireplace worked. They did all these things for him. I think they helped him paint the outside of the house too, maybe. I can't remember. But they helped him do a lot when he moved to Washington. He flew them out, or they flew out, whatever, just to help him get his house together in Washington. But look at what the fuck his parents had to do for him in Connecticut, my dude. My peoples. This is how much of a lazy goddamn slob that he is. You got to rely on your parents this much that a grown-ass man can't even throw away shit in his own condo. Can't even square his own condo up. What is that? 700-800 feet maybe? and he can't even conduct that properly. Wow.
Space have been destroyed and thrown out. I was able to rearrange stuff. My dresser that I've always had over here, right next to my my computer, actually is now like a shrine of gaming memorabilia and statues and such. And I will be showing that at some point. Probably when I do the tree videos, I'll show you how I rearranged it to make more room for that stuff. And that's over here. But alright, so what's been going on since I've been sick? Well, first of all, I do want to talk about
the way he dismissed it and moved on to the next subject. I think that only kind of reinforces that, yeah, his parents came over there to drop off some food to him and see how he was doing. They saw how messy the fucking place was, and they shamed his ass and helped him clean it up. I'm guessing that's what happened. I'm guessing that's what happened.
The bills, SOPA and PIPA, which is the Stop Online Piracy Act, Protect Intellectual Property Act, both of which were under debate.
Another interesting thing, too, before we get into the SOPA and PIPA segment, is that he isn't so sick that he can't sit here and make a video and sway back and forth for however long this video is. But he wouldn't even be able to clean up his condo that he sees every day. Now, granted, most of you will say, and you'd be right to say, well, he lives there. He lives in his own squalor. And to you, your condo, your house, your apartment, whatever, doesn't seem like a mess to you because, well, you live there. So it's not going to look as bad to you as it's going to look to someone on the outside. Fair point. Yet again, this is supposed to be a mature fucking adult, right? Who's supposed to be an upstanding citizen, quote unquote, who's supposed to understand and knows how to run a business and knows how to do and knows about all these things in the real world, and yet can't even get his own yard together, if you will. He can't even get his own affairs in order. But yet we can speak on other YouTubers and how they make their money and how they make their content and how they do their taxes and how they interact with their MCNs or how they interact with their fans. That makes sense to you?
Are up for debate in the Senate and Congress, the Senate and House Representatives this week in the U.S. government. And there's a lot of back and forth discussion, and because of you and your participation, my participation, everyone's participation, these have basically been now caught up. All right, it looked like they were going to try to get steamrolled right through and approved for law, but because there's been so much opposition to these bills, they've been held up. And what's actually happened now is the senators and the representatives who are opposing these laws and saying these are going to be way too broad if they're passed into law have now created counteracts, countermeasures. And what they're proposing is that rather than the U.S. government or some corporation having the ability to basically completely censor a website or change the way that a website like YouTube or Twitter or Tumblr or any of these websites that have user-generated content operates and completely screw up their business models, instead what they're going to do is have this already existing governmental body. It's like the International Trade Commission or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what it's called. But basically, this governing body already exists, and what it does is it regulates imports and exports into the United States to make sure there's no counterfeit goods coming in, there's no illegal trafficking coming in or out of the United States. So they said illegal...
This still happens because you can't regulate everything.
Downloads are just that, illegal downloads and uploads. It's some kind of a good or service, a song, for example, or a TV or movie, television show, video of any sort that's either coming into the country or leaving the country. And really, that's what these acts were targeting to begin with. As we said right at the beginning of this whole fiasco, really what they're trying to do with these acts is not to censor websites like YouTube. What they're trying to do is stop online piracy, and I'm going to say particularly the Pirates Bay, the one largest pirate website in the entire world, where America has tried to shut it down, the government where the Pirates Bay exists has tried to shut it down, and they've all been unsuccessful. That's really the website that the MPAA and all these other organizations are trying to stop piracy from. But what they've done is they've created these overgeneralized, broad acts that are going to completely change the internet because they only care about their own little specific interests and they don't care about anyone else. So who cares if this broad bill gets passed quickly?
Sounds a lot like Phil, to be honest with you. Now, back at that time, there was another site which still is which is still up because Pirates Bay is still up, I think. Which is Demonoid. Demonoid is still a thing too. It's a great alternative, or at least it was, but I'm sure it's still up. It's a great alternative too if you need stuff. Now, granted, like anything else that you're gonna pirate, make sure that you actually run through it and make sure the shit isn't stuck with all kinds of viruses or whatever. But in actuality, like anything else, whether it's a digital good or it's a physical one, you can't stop piracy. You can't stop forgery. You can't stop counterfeiting. You can't stop any of that ever. Like, they'll never do it. Someone will always come up with a way to circumvent it. It's just the reality. Now, going back to what Phil's saying about they don't give a shit about anything but their own interests, well, Phil's the exact same way. The only difference is that the government trips, falls, stumbles quite a bit, and they keep bouncing back up because for all the shit that they fuck up, there's a lot that they do right. Phil can't say that. Phil can't say that at all. So he just keeps hobbling on broken pig legs over and over and over again, hoping that things will get better. And in actuality, it's just another wound. It's another gash that he has to deal with later on down the line. The problem is the mistakes that he makes today are going to be infectious and probably gangrene later on down the line. And this has kind of it's always been his problem. And I've said this before, this whole short-term thinking that he has. You know what I'm saying? Because he won't go through anything, he doesn't follow through on anything, and nothing gets done. Whenever he hits a roadblock, instead of working it out, right, and then continue on the path forward, he's discouraged, he's pissed off, oh, I'll leave it, and if I get around to it, I get around to it, and if I don't, I don't. And then you have a part of the cult, or a part of the pig pen, whatever you want to call them, to be honest with you, fan base, whatever, who are sitting there waiting on this because Phil gave his word, oh, I'll eventually get back to it, and then he never does. And then that turns into a whole nother controversy, and then Phil's like, oh, well, I never promised you that I'd get back to it. I just said I would if I had time, caveat, caveat, caveat. And then next thing you know, nothing happens, and it's only that much more people who hate him, or dislike him, or are turned off of his content. And any person who cannot follow through on their obligations are either not trustworthy or just not responsible. Either which way, that's not a person you should be following. You know what I mean? Now, granted, there's exceptions to that because they're just people who just can't get around to it. But someone like Phil, he's so quick to hold people to this high standard, but then when he fucks up or whenever he has a misstep, don't hold me to that standard. That's way too high. You know what I'm saying? You don't do that. That's not fair. You know what I'm saying? You guys are supposed to be devoted to me. You guys are supposed to love me. You guys shouldn't hold me to stuff like that. I hold other people to that because they're making all the big money or they got all the popularity. They got the big fan bases. I'm not white hot popular anymore. I don't have the clout or the influence that those people have. You know what I mean? So how can you hold me to the same standard that they do? But yet he'll do it. Shit, he holds his fan base and his cult and his little pig pen to the standards that other content to the standards of other bigger fan bases. He sees, let me give you an example. He sees like a Ninja or Dr. Disrespect or a Tim the Tatman or a Summit 1G or whatever. I know he sees those big donations that those guys get. And he looks at his fan base and he's like, well, why can't you guys support me like how they support their content creators? He just doesn't come out and say it that way. He beats down on them over and over and over again on, you need to support me. You need to support me. I'm not going to be here anymore. He fear mongers them. A good example is when he goes on his day off and he's like, all right, guys, I'm taking my day off tomorrow. Make sure you guys remember that. He takes his days off on Tuesdays. So whatever you do on your day off, on my day off, go ahead, take care of yourselves, make sure, everything's good to go. But make sure you guys come back Wednesday because of such and such, such and such. He paints the picture that on his day off, you guys just have to find something to occupy your time while he's gone, which is a sick way of doing it because it's almost like, oh, well, I am the center of your life. And I need a break from you guys. And he pretty much says it like that, which is wild. And, you guys are just going to have to make do with yourselves for about 24 hours until I'm ready to come back. That's very much a cult type mentality. But more importantly than that, it's someone who doesn't value them as individuals, and he certainly doesn't value them as a group. He just values what they can give him and what they do for him. That's it. And he's always been that way. And he's the not a good archetype, by the way, but he's the archetype of the Twitch thought, of the internet thought, to be honest with you. The internet whore. That's very much what he is. He doesn't give a shit about other people outside what they can do, and even then he doesn't give a fuck about them. You think he gives a shit about Golden Cold, Straight Cash Homie, Sidella, Rob Warren, oh my god, Planet Jeff? You think he gives a flying fuck about any of those guys? Anonymous? He don't give a shit about none of those dudes. He doesn't give a flying fuck about any of those guys. If he could get 10 Emerald 7s in there who don't want any power, don't want any authority, and just come in and throw big money, he'd wipe all those guys that I named previously. He'd wipe all of them out in a second. He'd give them the Thanos treatment just like that and whatnot, because the money is the only thing that really drives the day. You know what I'm saying? He has a bunch of other idiots down there that can give him recognition or who will praise them. He doesn't really need them. He don't need their headaches. He doesn't need to be invested in them. He just needs their money. And that's really what it comes down to. Now, like I've said before, money is just a means to an end for him. At the end of the day, it's definitely the admiration. It's the people feeding into his greatness and all that bullshit. But each and every one of those guys I named have their own lives on top of that shit too. They have their own headaches and everything. And Phil don't want to deal with that. He don't want to hear about that. He doesn't want to try to relate to it, nor does he want to care about it. He just wants their cash, man. Rich had it right. I just want your cash, man.
And it does what we want. We don't care how it affects anyone else. And that's their attitude. So the opposition to these acts says, no, here's an act that makes more sense. There's already an organization that governs illegal imports and exports. Just put it into their jurisdiction. Let them create a cyber crimes unit or whatever in their part. Let them go after the Pirates Bay. It's that simple. Why do we need to change the structure of the internet and censor the whole internet for your own selfish purposes? And so now there's going to be some debate over the next week or two in the U.S. government regarding this issue. And everyone has their fingers crossed that everyone listens to reason and says, okay, you know, we're all working together to stop piracy. Let's do a reasonable thing. Let's not pass SOPA or PIPA in their current forms. Let's actually be reasonable here, and let's pass something that's reasonable for everyone that isn't going to destroy the internet. And in my opinion, from what I've been seeing, because I have been following this along all week, I mean, what else have I had to do? I've been fucking sick. It's looking good. It actually looks like some people are willing to listen to reason. Now there's actually an opposing solution to this piracy issue, and that was the main thing. It's a lot of people can say, well, we don't like this, but do you have a better solution? And if you don't, well, then it's going to be hard to stop these people. Well, now we actually do have a better solution, and everyone's hoping really strongly that the U.S. government will listen to reason, change these acts so they don't destroy the internet as we know it, and it'll go along like that. And we'll see, and I'll keep everyone updated as more information comes out of that. Now, there have been some people who have contacted me regarding another act that has actually been passed by the Senate already, and it looks like it might even go to President Obama for his final veto or approval. It's a pretty alarming act, and the reason that you haven't heard from me about this act is because you have to understand, when it comes to political activism, okay, you have to pick and choose your battles. You can't always be the one person who raises the alert for every single possible thing that can go wrong in the government, because then you just become a whistleblower. You become one of these people who are just panicking all the time, and
that's funny because that's exactly what you were in the FGC. Remember, you saw bullshit, you called it out, and you got a lot of negative backlash over it, but you said it was the right thing to do because someone has to stand up. Sorry, let's reword that the way he said it. Someone needs to have the balls to call out the bullshit. But politically, he don't want to do it because, well, I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to be wrong a lot, and I don't want to be humiliated for it. Because he clearly doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Even with the SOPA and PIPA situation, he wasn't the first person to report on it. He may have been the one with the biggest mouth to do it, but he wasn't the first person to report on it. He got his information from someone else. And that's fine, but that don't make him the head of the movement either.
Not me. And this particular act, I have been following it. I have. And I'm not really too worried about it. What it is, it's an act, and I don't remember the name of it. But basically, just going along with the Patriot Act that was passed back after the terrorist attacks of 9/11, the U.S. government now feels that our armed forces should have the ability to seize any U.S. citizen anywhere for whatever reason just because they suspect them to be a terrorist and have no due process, no rights whatsoever, and to be detained indefinitely. Now, previously, this act only applied to people who weren't U.S. citizens, and that's when all this controversy happened about people who were being snatched up, who were suspected terrorists, and they were thrown into Guantanamo Bay, and they weren't seen or heard from for 5 years, and it was just crazy controversy. And now, it seems like they're trying to broaden this act to even apply to U.S. citizens. So, am I concerned about this act? Absolutely I am, okay? It's absolutely absurd. It's ridiculous. It's broad-reaching. It's a crazy panic attack from our U.S. government because they don't actually know how to stop terrorism. So instead of actually trying to put together an intelligent plan that would probably attack terrorism properly, they just put out the panic, okay? Oh my God, we're so afraid. And because they act like this, the bad news is the terrorists have won. The terrorists have changed the way.
First off, all threats, foreign or domestic. 2, there's a bunch of domestic cells here that supported those ideas. 3, terrorism isn't a person, it's an idea. And one cannot squash an idea. And Phil Burnell's another shining example of it. The whole idea of Darksydephil is, you know what I'm saying, he's just speaking his opinion and he's the most honest guy on the internet. It's an idea. It's not a person. But Phil has always tried to facilitate that as that's me. But the thing is, he can't even live up to that idea. That's why it failed. That's why DSP, that's why DS positive, that's why it failed. That's why the most realist guy on the internet, that's why it failed. Because he couldn't live up to the very idea that he tried to stand upon and then try to merge into himself. That's the reality. He has no conviction. He has no gumption. And the moment he gets pressed on something with enough people and with enough backing that he can't squash it, he backs down. That's what a coward does. And one can't respect a coward. That's the reality. The reason why terrorism is going to be a thing, and it'll probably always be a thing, and it was a thing before 9/11, is because it's an idea. You can't squash an idea. That's the reality.
Americans live their lives because our government gives into this, okay? This panic mentality. So, the Senate already passed this bill. But it's looking like it's going to go to President Obama, and President Obama, at least previously, says, I'm not going to pass this. I'm vetoing this immediately. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's way crazy. It's like blown out of proportion. There's no way I would ever pass this. So that bill is in limbo right now. We're going to see what happens with it. But like I said, I'm not going to rally the troops for every single thing. We've already been heavily into this internet censorship deal, and even though I could,
in a previous video talking about SOPA and PIPA, this idiot right here had the nerve to say that if you have a platform, right, and people come to you with concerns, that you should speak out on those concerns. That's the right thing to do. Now, oh, well, you know what, guys, see, this whole SOPA and PIPA thing, that really just affects me. That affects my way of life and my livelihood. Yeah, I know I've told you guys that, you know, they're trying to censor all of us on the internet and they're trying to fuck over all content creators. I don't give a fuck about them. I'm really only giving a shit about me. This is self-preservation. Now you guys want me to talk about other political shit, and I don't give a fuck. I don't leave my house unless I'm going out with John and Howard, so I don't really give a shit. And let's see, this is 2011, so I'm still trying to line up a couple underage girls and shit. Alleged, you know what I'm saying? Alleged underage chicks. I don't care about any of that bullshit. I don't really give a fuck about politics unless I feel like it has something to do with me and whatnot. And that's why people laugh at the SOPA and PIPA thing now. That's why he still is trying so very hard to push that into his legacy. And it doesn't fly, or it doesn't hold water, or it doesn't hold weight, like he don't, because he did it only because it was a direct threat to him. Or at least he felt like it was. He didn't give a fuck about other content creators. He didn't give a shit about any of that. And to be truthful, to be honest, I think, if Phil never spoke on SOPA and PIPA, I think it would have ended the way it did. He had no true effect or influence or anything on that situation. I honestly believe that. I think he jumped in. I think he got scared. He panicked. and jumped onto a situation that he thought would have a negative precedence on him. He had that one video coming out talking about it. That shit got a crazy amount of views, not a million. Like I said, it's still hovering at like 800,000 or whatever it is after all these years. It got a lot of views, and then he rolled with it because he was like, wow, people actually listen to me? Like, people legitimately listen to me on something that's not completely video game related, despite the fact that this right here could have a negative effect on him playing video games for the internet, which is counterintuitive, but whatever. Well, it's contradicting, sorry. And he rolled with it, and he's been rolling with it. That's the reality. If Phil Burnell never said anything about it, if DSP, Darksydephil, Dark Geppetto never said anything about SOPA and PIPA, it would have ended the way it did. It would have been just another footnote in internet history. A footnote that he didn't even want to be attached to. When the book was being written, they reached out to him to be like, hey, would you like to be part of the book? So on and so forth. He said he said, no, I'm good. So how the fuck are you going to claim something that you weren't even man enough to put your name behind? Oh, well.
I don't want to be the guy. I'm the guy that does video game playthroughs, you know what I mean? I'm not the guy who should be here telling you all about the US government trying to do crazy shit. That's not me. That's not what I'm about. That's not what I want to become on YouTube or anywhere. I don't want to become some political activist. But if there is something that's going to negatively affect the stuff that we love to do, like YouTube, that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to inform you.
So basically anything that's going to fuck me over, I'm going to talk about it. For everything else, though, like the Patriot Act, whatever. I'm not worried about that. Even though years and years later, he's complained about some of the residuals that came out of that Patriots Act. But it is what it was. You know, it was all about the panic, man. Everybody was scared, man. So it is what it is. But then again, that wouldn't have mattered either which way because this idiot don't vote. He don't vote. So who gives a shit what he thinks about politics anyway? He don't vote.
But I am aware of that bill. I'm hoping that Obama has enough of, you know, a sense of honor and intelligence to know that that's a crazy bill and he should veto it. So we'll see what happens with that. So that's what's going on.
How does honor have anything to do with that? And what the fuck do you know of honor? You mean like how you were buying all that garbage right there on your bar area and shit, and your friends came over and saw more and more new shit, but yet you didn't even try to spread some of the spoils of war, if you will? You didn't try to spread any of that out to them? I mean, yeah, John got his cut when John asked to have his cut. But what about, you know, Howard? What about OJ? What about the rest of your bosom buddies who used to come by and help you with content? Where was their cuts? But you want to talk about honor, though. Fuck off.
U.S. government, okay? Enough of that, all right? Now let's talk about YouTube. Because primarily that's what we're here to talk about, right?
So let's talk about him. You see why people used to, well, you guys may have not seen it, but if you go back and look at some people who used to clip old pre-streams and shit, they used to use, you'll always find this, well, not always, but more often than not, you'll find the comments saying, wow, it's just an extra 30 minutes or 20, well, no, shit, back in the day, it was only like 15, 20 minutes. People didn't know how good they had it. 15, 20 minutes of him talking on a pre-stream, right, or a channel update, or a weekend preview about himself. It's literally a glorified therapy session. And here's the thing, too. Why did he get rid of weekend previews? It was on Sunday. They were like 20, 30 minutes. It was a nice little rant session, to be honest with you, more times than not. We're going to go over a couple of those. Why the fuck did he give those up? He should have kept doing those. He's an idiot. Especially when, if you think about it, a lot of the big controversies that Phil has, that happens during the week. On the weekend, for weekend previews, which is usually held on Sundays, that right there would have been a nice time to clear all that up leading into Monday, which is what he used to use the weekend previews for. Oh well. Womp womp.
YouTube. Let me actually get a sip of water here. YouTube, over this past week, has begun to force people to use the new version of YouTube. So if you haven't noticed it yet,
I want you to listen to this too. This whole thing about Phil has always had this problem with change. Like, I don't know why Darksydephil DSP always has this issue with change and whatnot. Because no one's going to stay stagnant. The world isn't going to stop spinning for you. And that's one of the, that's one of the key points that he talks about when people bring up his failure on YouTube. Oh, YouTube changed this. They changed how the channel layout was. They changed how videos are viewed. They changed how the algorithm works. If they just kept everything the same, I would have been fine. Not really. You still would have gotten pushed out eventually. You eventually would have gotten pushed out. Eventually. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, nothing's going to stay stagnant. Just because you chose to not change your content until he was forced to. Just because you chose to live that way doesn't mean other people were going to. And that right there has always been, at least to me, it's always stuck out to me as one of the great failures of his parents. To not teach him that the world don't stand still for anybody. And if you cannot survive, adapt, and overcome, then you're going to be looked at as a footnote. You're not going to get very far. And in actuality, it came into fruition. All of his YouTube glory, all the boasting, all the recognition, all the fans, all that bullshit is gone. He's merely just another whore on Twitch. He's just another empty-headed hoe, thought, tramp, whore, whatever you want to call them, right? And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, there are differences between women and then thoughts and hoes and whores and shit. There's a difference. He's just another one of them. He became what he hated, which is even more ironic. He literally became the very thing he hated. He used to shit on big YouTubers, saying they what's the word I'm looking for? They would take advantage of their fans, or they would talk out of their ass and not know what the fuck they're talking about. That they would misappropriate their money, or they wouldn't use their money properly. He became the very thing that he said he was very much against, and he would never end up doing. He fell down that same track just like the rest of them. And at the end of the day, one of the great failures as it pertains to YouTube and to the internet, his internet persona in general, is that Darksydephil literally thought he was going to make $200,000 plus a year forever. He thought he was going to be under machinima forever, and that they were always going to take care of him and was always going to be a fucking gravy train. He thought he was going to keep Panda on a short leash forever. He never thought about actually having to marry that chick. He never thought about actually having any kids. He was just going to go ahead and play video games like a fucking slug for the rest of his goddamn life, and just buy everything that his little piggy heart desires, right? And eat all that terrible food and shit, and not exercise, not go to the doctor, not do anything, which is the reason why his dumbass has gout and whatever other heart problems I assume he has heart problems, but whatever other medical issues he may or may not have. He did all this himself because he has this warped worldview that the world is not changing around him, or it shouldn't change around him. It should just be the same shit day in, day out, year in, year out. How the fuck do you think innovation happens, Phil, if everything just stays stagnant? And what makes it even worse is that he was on the ground floor for a lot of this shit. Especially when you think about direct capture, better audio quality, better visuals. He was there for all of that. For when editing was really starting to become a thing and people were starting to get creative, he was at the very beginning of all of that. And he still figured out a way to fuck it all up. This is the same idiot who said he wanted, and this is back when he was in Connecticut, said that he wanted to have an office so he could do all of his, air quotes, work stuff there. He wanted to have a couple of TVs, a couple of computers, and they could actually play the games there. They could edit everything there. They could, do all the playthroughs there, and then he can come home and just sit down and relax. He would be completely separated from his business. That's what he wanted the office space for. In Connecticut, he wanted to actually rent out an office space, furnish it, put all that stuff in there, and do all that work there, and then drive home. And then just relax and not have to worry about anything. He could just monitor YouTube from home. That's what this idiot really wanted. And guess what? You can't do that by yourself. So how was he planning on doing that, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, he was going to get John and Howard to do it with him. He was going to have John and Howard do the heavy lifting. You guys are going to come over. You guys are going to do the playthroughs with me. You guys are going to help me with the edits. You're going to help me do all that. Oh, yeah, you guys can work on your little channels, too. You guys can work on your little channels as well. But that's essentially what the plan is. You guys are going to help me. And you guys are going to be, and I'm going to be the boss because I'm the one with the biggest channel, right? I'm the one that's actually famous. I'm the one that's known. And you guys are going to be employees. Probably wasn't going to pay any of them though. Oh, I'm going to advertise you. That's what we'll do. We'll do advertisements for you guys. You know what I'm saying? I'll shout you guys out. That's what he was really going to do. And when that fell through, or Panda convinced him to buy a house, whichever one came first, and he didn't want to buy it in Connecticut because he was trying to get away from taxes, is when he decided to go to Washington. And got fucked on taxes anyway. Which is fucking hilarious. This is big brain Darksydephil at his finest. And you're seeing it all right here, damn near at the ground floor. And that's why we're here. For the funnies.
Your homepage on YouTube, any of the in-between browsing pages on YouTube, the video view page on YouTube have all changed. They've all changed to the new version of YouTube, which YouTube never gave warning that this was going to happen, never gave anyone a chance to preview it, they just shoved it down everyone's throat. This is YouTube's way of operating. They've always operated like this. The last time they did this was 2000.
It's their site. It's their site. They can do what the fuck they want to do with it at the end of the day. And if you did get a newsletter or an email talking about it, I mean, Phil's never been good with his email, so he could have lost it. And that's if they reached out to him. Maybe they didn't. But at the end of the day, it's their site. They're not beholden to you. Just like how when Phil's crying about, oh, they're changing their business and their business affects my business. No, it really don't. Because one, no one told you to rely on this as your income. Two, because this is your source of income, you need to have fail safes. You need to have backup plans. YouTube ain't there for that. Since YouTube didn't set this up for you to make money on their site, they don't have to set up a 401k for you. They don't need to set up a pension plan for you or a nest egg. They don't need to have an insurance plan through them just in case you start slumping in views. But Phil expected that. He expected YouTube when he started making money off it, like real money. Not when he was vlogging and making a little money and then fucked himself when he told people to click ads. When he started making money off this gaming shit, he went ahead and he expected YouTube to kind of be like how his old helicopter company was. Oh, they need to set this up for me and they need to have this and they need to understand that if I'm having a bad week or a bad month that, you know, it's out of my hands and I need to be compensated, you know, they need to kind of give me some compensation. They don't have to do fucking jack shit when it comes to any of that. When you decide to do this for a living, whether you're back then or now, you are taking the risk. You are taking the risk as well as basically your own livelihood in your own hands. You control that. And if it flounders and it fails, then it flounders and it fails. And when everything is prosperous and when everything's fruitful, save your goddamn money. Because it's not going to be like that forever. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, fucking evolve. Branch out. See what else you can do. If you can get into merch, get into merch. If you can go ahead and get your own website and start doing stuff there. Start collaborating with people. Starting to get to know your peers and start thinking. Don't pull what Susie Lou did, where you're just blatantly stealing fucking anime and shit, and then think you're gonna host that shit on your own fucking website, and then come to find out you got to keep pulling that shit down every couple days because is it Tokyo TV? I think it's Tokyo TV that keeps going after them, keeps coming after your neck with these cease and desist. And eventually, Japan's going to be like, you know what? Fuck that. We're dragging them into court. And Susie Lou ain't going to be able to afford that. I can already see that. A lot of people can. If you guys are not keeping up with the Susie Lou thing, you should. It's amazing to watch her failure. And the thing is, that's even more incredible, is she's literally falling down the same path as Darksydephil. The thing is, she's going to crash a whole lot worse. Because all of this happened because someone took a 30-second, it was like a 15 to 30-second clip of her, and memed it up. She overreacted. She overreacted on some bullshit. They didn't call her out for overreacting. They were just like, hey, look at, this is pretty terrible. Let's meme this up and it's going to be funny. And they memed it up. That 30 seconds. And she went ahead and basically cast the first stone. She started a war. She ain't brought YouTube into this shit. She ain't brought the commentator community into that shit. And she thought, because of her status at 300,000 subs or whatever the fuck she has, she thought that was going to save her. She thought whoever that YouTube administrator or whoever that guy is who's protecting her, she thought that him and his team was going to carry the day. And now she can't even do that shit on YouTube now because YouTube's getting fucked with the copyright shit. She tried to pull that over to Patreon. Patreon's like, whoa, you better get this off or we're going to go ahead and just move or we're definitely going to put all financial liabilities on you or legal liabilities on you. And now she's trying to do that on her own site, and that's just a joke for days. They're like, she might as well just pull the site down. And then the boyfriend or whoever the guy is that she lived with or whatever, he ain't accidentally ratted her out on some shit that makes it a whole lot worse. She thought too much of herself. She took herself too seriously, right? In something so small that it should have been laughed out. You know, it should have been laughed off, I should say. And now look, she's about to lose everything. And she pulled a lot of this reactionary bullshit. She was pulling that before the whole, you know, she wanted to go around copyright striking people and taking people's channels and videos down. So when you become a lolcow, which is what she is, people start to look at you real close because, oh, I understand copyright. Oh, I got lawyers. Oh, I got this. I got that. Okay, well, let's see what you do. Let's take a look at you a little closer and see what your life's like. Oh, well, damn, Susie, why are you sitting here doing reaction videos to full episodes of anime? And this isn't even close to fair use. Other YouTube channels get taken down for this daily, but why are you allowed to do this? Uh-oh, now next thing you know, that YouTube, now people are starting to look and see who is that YouTube partner that keeps protecting her. Now people want to know who was the man who sat there and on his holiday break got into his car, called other people to show up to the YouTube offices to help them clear up Susie Liu having her channel taken down because she was because she was breaking copyright by watching full episodes of anime on YouTube and monetizing it. Now people are looking into him, or they're trying to find him, and he don't want that because if they find out what he's doing, then they're going to want to find out who are the other YouTube partners or head of partner programs or whatever who are doing it too, which makes YouTube look real bad. Susie Liu played her cards and she overplayed them, and she fucked herself, and she's too stupid to fold. She has nothing else. This is strip poker, and for everything that's been stripped off of you, I didn't see not a goddamn thing impressive. You should fold now with what little dignity that you have, and she won't. Phil Brunel's the exact same way. This is what happens when you believe you're bigger than what you are. And initially, and here's the reality, ladies and gentlemen, this is all supposed to be for fun. If you can make money off this, do it. Detractor or not, do it. If you can make some money off this, go ahead. But to sit there and start taking yourself so seriously that no one can question you? Nah. Not at all. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is what breeds lolcows.
2009, when they forced the new channel layout to everyone vomited all over and said, this is disgusting, this channel layout. Now, over the past 2 years, we've all begrudgingly been forced to use this new channel layout and adopted it and learned how to use it. Now, all of a sudden, YouTube wants to adapt to a new channel layout, again, only 2 years later. So obviously it was a failed experiment if within 2 years they know that this thing is crappy and they decide to completely change it and revamp it again. Again, with no feedback from anyone. They did let people preview it. It was called Cosmic Panda for several months, and no one really liked it. They were overwhelmingly bad and negative feedback. So
they called it Cosmic Panda? Oh shit. Well, isn't that an interesting preview to what came later?
It's kind of ridiculous that, once again, they feel that they know what's better than everyone else, and they try to shove it down your throat. But it's their website and it's their business, so unfortunately, they have the ability to do that.
Fuck you mean, unfortunately? People people comment on, air quotes, your business all the time, and you hate it. And you block them for it. YouTube never blocked you for these fucking hate videos you make because of the changes they do. But yet you block other people. So you're worse than YouTube then. Well, we knew you were worse than YouTube, but you're only proving it. What a goddamn idiot.
Now, I can't speak for what's going to happen to your homepage or your browse pages or anything like that, because as I've said to everyone, I'm usually so busy with what I'm doing on YouTube, I don't have time to watch other people's videos. I don't go to my homepage and see who's in my subscriptions box and do any of that. I never do that. So
Why are you subscribed to anybody? Oh, hurt you on that one, huh? You this is 2011. You've been doing YouTube since 2008. You've been doing it for profit since like 2010, 2011. Like early 2011, I think. Yeah, no, like 2010, 2011. So why are you subscribed to anybody? I mean, I'm being realistic here. He just told you. Okay, excuse me. It came out of his own snout that he doesn't have time to go on his front page and see who he subscribed to and see what videos they put out. He doesn't give a shit. He's only concerned with his own business. Then why be subscribed to anybody? It's a question. It's a question. He's okay with profiting off the website, but yet he doesn't want to use the website as a tool or as a form of entertainment. Neither one of those things compute to him at all. But yet he swears to God he knows about everything that goes on. He knows about everything that happens on YouTube outside of the fact that it only affects him, or it only has happened to him, and that's what he's speaking on. That doesn't speak to the whole website as a whole. That doesn't speak to other content creators who are going through the same type of stuff he's going through. But that's funny because he sat there and told us prior to this statement, oh, everybody on here, all the content creators, they had to begrudgingly deal with it. You know what I mean? And they didn't let us preview it, and they heard all of us sit there and say we don't like it. Well, how would he know that if he wasn't listening to anybody else? If he wasn't watching anybody else's videos? How the fuck would he know that?
Tell you anything about the functionality that's going to change there. From what I heard, from what people have been telling me, is that it looks like they've completely undone the fixes that they had to the subscriptions box. So, for example, a lot of people had said to me...
And who have you talked to? Like, let's be honest. You talking about some of your fans? Those who watch YouTube and don't actually participate in YouTube, doing it for a living? That seems a bit contradicting, doesn't it? So you're listening to a bunch of people who are nothing more than outside observers. Possibly. Let me put that in there, that caveat. So we're listening to a bunch of people who are just outside observers of the website and don't actually do it for a living. And you think that right there is enough to go on and start make statements that has your name attached to it, and when that shit comes out to be false, it makes you look stupid. It makes you're the one that's holding the bag. And then when you make statements like, oh, I don't pay attention to what goes on in my front page. I don't watch other people on the platform. I don't talk, he's admitted it before, I don't talk to other content creators, because he don't. He don't. Now, he said at one time that he had spoke to Maximilian and Rad Brad once. I think this is before he got partnered onto Machinima. I don't necessarily believe that's true, but it could have happened. It could have happened. It's possible. And just because neither one of them have ever said that it ever happened doesn't mean that it didn't. It just means that they don't have a need to bring that up. Because Phil is kind of like that, it's kind of that dirty stain, you know what I'm saying, on everybody, I think, that he's interacted with over the years that people just don't want to talk about. They don't have anything positive nor negative to say about him. They just don't talk about it. And that right there is a very interesting way of going through your online life in a lot of ways. That even people who have interacted with you, even if they were positive interactions, we're talking about other content creators, I should say, still don't bring you up. And they won't bring you up in a positive or negative way. They just act like you don't exist. Or they just don't speak upon you. Now, granted, that would be considered a form of courtesy, I think. But if you look at it from the other side of the coin, it's just, no, I don't need to be associated with that and what he does. That's an amazing thing to think about if you want to put it into perspective.
Phil, we're not going to subscribe to you. We like you a lot. We like your content. We watch all your videos, but we're not going to subscribe to you because every day when we go into our homepage, in our subscriptions area, all we see are your videos. YouTube, if you put
that proves my point. He's not talking to other content creators about this situation that, guess what, affect content creators. At least in the beginning stages, it affects content creators. He's talking to his fans. You're talking to people that it only affects them. But they can't see things from your perspective because they don't do what you do. And in actuality, Phil can't see it from their perspective because he don't watch other people's content. He don't look at his subscription feed. He don't care. Womp womp. Semantics, though, ladies and gentlemen. Semantics.
30 videos a day. We see 30 of your videos and maybe 1 or 2 other videos from other subscribers or other people who were subscribed to, because the way that YouTube does it is all messed up. Now, I've heard that over the past several months that bug was fixed. That now it says, like, okay, Darksydephil or DSPGaming uploaded 30 videos today. Here's one. Who such and such machinima maybe uploaded 15 videos today. Here's one. And so you'd only see one from each, and then you would just click on there if you wanted to see all of them. Well, apparently this new YouTube layout has undone that again. So now you're going to have a massive flood of videos from anyone who does more than just a couple videos a day. All you're going to end up seeing is their videos.
Which is very few people. If you go onto YouTube every day, any content creator that you like to watch is probably not uploading a video a day. They're probably uploading a video every other day. Or 3 videos a week, which would be theoretically every other day. Or maybe 2 videos a week. It's only Phil Burnell who does a video every goddamn day. So this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is yet again an early example of, hey Phil, stop doing so many goddamn videos. We can't watch all of them. Oh, well, you know, sorry guys, this is my business, so I gotta do what I gotta do for my business. That's his fault, yet again. And he's spelling it out in such a way to where it is his fault. I am putting up too many goddamn videos. But he's too stupid, so he kept doing it anyway. And you found another way to blame YouTube, say, oh, well, hey, I just put the videos up and collect my money. YouTube should regulate that shit. You know what I'm saying? And YouTube needs to figure out what's going on. You know? And then it goes back into the whole, if you're a real fan of mine, you should be okay with all the videos that I'm putting out. Because you're a fan of me. Yet again, he screwed himself over. This is Dark Geppetto at his finest. Playing off the sympathy of all these young kids and everything, trying to milk them for everything. Excuse me. This is wow. Let's reword that. Wow. This is him taking advantage of his young audience in more ways than one. At some point, you know what I'm saying? If it's not views, it's money. If it's not money, the female fan base is well, at least 2 of them are a thing. One of them was potentially underage when he talked to her. This is what he does. This is the fruits of Dark Geppetto's fucking labor. Bask in it. Indulge yourselves.
Videos in your inbox. There's nothing I can do about it. Please don't complain to me about it once I start uploading again full time. I don't control YouTube. It seems to be like a
told you. It is clearly his fault. Stop uploading so goddamn much. Oh, I can't, guys. Proof's in the point. Jesus Christ. It's too easy. At least sometimes.
A thing and thread with me. I get people complaining to me personally in PMs, Phil, why did you flood my inbox? I don't control YouTube. I don't program the site. All I do is upload videos. So if you have a complaint, fucking complain to YouTube and Google, who keep changing their site and fucking everything up. Don't complain to me. I can't fix it, okay?
Personal accountability is not a factor in this situation, in this equation. Quote the words of Dark Geppetto.
Now, what really concerns me are the changes to the channel pages. Because the changes to the channel pages are going to affect your accessibility to my content and the way that I want to display my content to you. So I've checked into it. I actually
wait. You already have people complaining to your dumb ass about your uploading too much. But then you're going to turn around and say, oh, well, I'm only worried about the channel page. I'm worried about how it's displayed to you and how you interact with my content. When you already have people complaining that you're putting too much content out, that they can't interact with it because it's too goddamn much. Holy shit, you're an exceptional individual. Holy shit, early detractors let you off the hook. Oh my God, they let you off the hook a lot. Good God, that's wild.
20-25 minutes farted around with the new channel page the other day because I've been sick. I had time to do this, and I started taking a look, and I actually like a couple things about what they've done with the new channel pages, and there are a couple things that are baffling me right now, and maybe some people will have the answer. So listen up, because here's what I found. First of all, it looks like the new channel page still allows you to have your one main video like you've always had. It could still autoplay if you wanted to autoplay. What they've done with the new channel page is they've taken all the stuff that used to be cluttered on your right-hand side of your screen, which in a very narrow column used to be your uploads, your favorites, your playlists, all of that used to be all cluttered in this one narrow column. And for a newcomer to YouTube who maybe isn't used to the layout, even my dad has complained to me. He said, Phil, it's really hard to find stuff on your page. Just the layout, the way that they do it, seems very confusing. So I can understand that. What they've done, they've taken all that stuff from the right hand of the page, and they now put it under your main featured video. So you're now going to have one area that says uploads, and if you click on that, you're going to see all of my uploads from the most recent one all the way down. If you keep going down to the first upload, all in reverse chronological order, basically. If you click on the next section, it's called favorites, and what you're going to see are all my favorites from the video that I just recently favorited to the first video I ever favorited on this channel. Then I actually have the ability to pick and choose what playlists I would like to feature on that main page. So I could pick, let's say for example, the last 3 playlists. I could have Zelda Skyward Sword, Need for Speed to Run, WWE 12, I could do that. Or, if I have a playlist that I know a lot of people like and enjoyed, I can actually always leave that on my front page. So at a glance you get to see my featured video, all my recent uploads, favorites, and then whatever playlist I want to feature, all at a glance, easily viewable, no hassle, no fuss about trying to figure out how to do it. In the playlist, the thing I really like about the playlist, there's actually an arrow on them now. All you need to do is click on the arrow. It will play the entire playlist from start to finish in order, which never worked properly before with YouTube. They fucked that up completely. When they redid the channels 2 years ago, they fucked up that functionality. So I'm glad that they fixed that and they've made it at a glance easy to watch those playlists now, okay? What they've also done is they've taken your other channels or channels of my friends or whatever, the ones that you're allowed to put on your page, and they've moved that now to the right-hand side. And above where that is just basically your profile info, whatever you want to put there about describing your channel or whatever. You also now have the ability to link your website, and actually it's a one-click to your website. You don't have to search through, say, the whole body of your description of your channel to find your website. There's an area right there to just click and go straight to your website. You can also link your Twitter account. So there's all these things that they've added to basically make it a little bit easier at a glance to understand a user's YouTube page. But what's baffling me are some of the things that they've omitted or that I just can't figure out how to do yet, okay? Number one, I can't figure out how to get my channel banner on the top of the screen to show up anymore. When you go into your options for your channel, there seem to be options that you can adjust the height of your banner to be 150 pixels, which is how tall my banner is right now. And it says, whatever you put in it for your pixel height for your banner is going to be by 970 pixels, which is the width of my banner. So I did that, but then I don't see any fucking area to upload a banner. Like, there's nowhere to actually upload your banner to the fucking page. I think they just forgot it. They left it out of the menu like boneheaded idiots. There's no option to upload a banner. I just don't see it anywhere. So if anyone knows how the hell to upload a banner to the new channel pages, please let me know, because I'm not willing to sacrifice my banner. My banner right now has links to my website, my Twitter account, my Cafe Press, not that that's a big deal, but also to my Hateful Truth video game review series, and links to all of my other channels on YouTube. Why would I sacrifice that because these idiots changed the whole fucking page and didn't put a button to upload your banner? It makes no sense.
Because they just gave you all these different sections and options where you can put all those websites and all those external ways of reaching out to you. Do you still not understand how that works? On top of that, I'm sure the button for where the banner's at is probably right in front of your face and you just didn't see it. I've seen you play Minecraft before. I've seen you play a lot of games before. That's not out of the realm of Snort abilities. On top of that, it's funny how an individual who will talk this much shit about YouTube, right? You don't think he wouldn't have talked about his bosses like this as well? Now, granted, Phil's a coward, so he would never have said this stuff to their face. But I could certainly see him, he certainly did this behind their backs. And then someone probably ratted his ass out. And you would think, maybe keep your mouth shut with certain things. Maybe saying that, okay, YouTube blundered with this, or YouTube screwed this up. But to sit there and call YouTube, which is an entity, it's not a person, but to call them an idiot doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? Like slandering the site that pays your dumbass doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But yet again, it only shows a pattern of how he probably interacted in his work history. Hence the reason why he never looked for another job. And I still hold to the theory that the only reason why he got the helicopter job is, one, his dad told him to apply and his dad got him the job. But on top of that, his dad realized that because of his work history, between being pushed out, being fired, right, or him quitting, that his prospects were low. And this was his last chance. Because if he could do this right, then he could do something within the field or expand from it. This idiot stayed as a customer service representative for like 5 years and didn't do jack shit. The one opportunity that he was given to actually take on some responsibility, he did that for X amount of months, right? And then got fired not long after that. Huh. Imagine that.
So if anyone knows how to do that, please let me know. The other thing that are startling omissions, you can't edit the color, you can't edit the text, the font, anything with your page anymore. So, you know, right now if you look at my channel page, you'll see, oh, it's a gold background for Zelda, and it's got white text, and it's got red links. It's all gone. They've completely taken away that customization, and so when these channels go live, they're all going to look exactly the fucking same. They're all going to...
Yeah, but then again, editing colors and fonts is kind of superficial. Yes, it gives you the air of individuality. It'd be nice if they kept it, but that's not something to be crying and complaining about. You're not a unique fucking snowflake, Phil. You're another shitty content creator on another shitty site. Shut the fuck up. That's the reality. You're not special. You're not. And I'm sure that the custom fonts and all the custom colors and whatever is probably an idea that you got from somebody else. It's not like you came up with it. It's not like you had an epiphany of, you know what? Maybe I'll just go ahead and put like a custom color for every major gameplay series that I'm playing. Yeah, that'll work. No, you didn't come up with that. You probably took it from somebody else. Fucking idiot.
This ugly gray with white text or black text or whatever the default is, they're all going to look the same. I don't understand how you can try to launch a whole new channels page without having any kind of color customization. It makes everything bland and generic. So again, if anyone...
Didn't you launch your initial YouTube page with all that? So you were able to do that from the very beginning, then they gave you that functionality, they gave you that option, they gave you that ability later on down the line. See how you don't think before you talk? You were able to do it, you were able to do well before it, but you can't live without it now, huh? Oh well.
How to fix that or get into that, I haven't found a way to do it. Another startling omission, your favorites, sure, you can now have your favorites right at a glance, but you can't order your favorites. I went into there's no option to order your favorites anymore. So I can't say, okay, the most important favorite video is the one about these bills going through the government and put it as #1. Even though, regardless, that's the one I want everyone to see first, it doesn't appear that there's any way.
Now, this right here, what he's talking about now, this right here proves why him uploading all those videos every goddamn day fucked him over. That's the reality. Because he's trying to just spam the site and in turn his page, he's drowning out his own content. So the very content that he feels is so important, right? And people really need to see, right? And really need to act upon, they can't because he's a fucking idiot and he keeps drowning his content day in, day out. And now it's starting to affect him. But oh, it's YouTube's fault though. It's YouTube's fault. So if you want to complain to YouTube. Don't complain to me. But I'm going to complain right now. But he's not complaining to YouTube. He's complaining to you guys. See the contradictions there?
To order my favorites, people will see that one first. It just goes from reverse chronological order. So you'll see the most recent video I favorited, and then everything in order from there, going backwards in time. So that just baffles me. And then the biggest thing that really baffles me, there's no more channel comments. Period. There's just no more channel comments. They don't exist. What it seems like they've done, they have a template for when the live video streaming goes live for everyone on YouTube, where then there'll be like a chat box that'll open up on your channel and people will be able to chat on the live feed that's going on. But outside of that, there don't seem to be any channel comments anymore. And any other layout, there's nothing available. And that completely baffles me. What was wrong with channel comments that you've decided to just get rid of them without even telling anyone or explaining what your purpose was? It's blowing.
What, one less place to moderate people? Why are you upset about that? A couple of years later, a few years later, you end up turning off the comments on your videos altogether. So who cares? Oh, he wasn't getting enough people kissing his ass, right? He wasn't giving enough people to tell him how great he was, so he needed the channel comments. When in actuality, idiot, you need people to be engaging with the video, not with the channel comments. What an exceptional individual.
My mind. So those seem to be the biggest changes I found. The banner doesn't seem to exist anymore. Even though there's settings in there for it, I can't find anywhere to upload the banner. You can't edit colors anymore. You can't order your favorites anymore, and there's no more channel comments. Outside of those weird...
All that shit was superficial. Especially the banner. Because he's like, that's how I advertise my business, instead of third. All my information's up there. Idiot, you just explained how they have sections now on your channel page for each and every one of those things. And more importantly, the banner is important, don't get me wrong, but I'm sure the option was right in front of him. He's just such a dumbass that he can't see it. But if the banner is only for advertising these other sites and other ways of interacting with him, right, or his channel, they have places for all that now. And on top of that, it's funny too how he had made that, what was it, not Teespring, because they didn't have Teespring yet, Cafe Press. It's funny how he kind of shitted on Cafe Press there a little bit when he had hyped up for years that people were buying stuff, and that's why he had people design new things. Matter of fact, if I remember correctly, the clock that's on the wall in the far back there is from Cafe Press. It's a Darksydephil clock. And the mug that he's drinking out of too. And then there's or not a mug, it's called starts with an S, I'm sorry. A stout, I think. I think is what they call it. He has one of those. Also, on the counter there, right in front of the guy from Team Fortress 2, there's a like a water bottle there that's also has his Darksydephil logo on it. So, like, you kind of shitting on Cafe Press is kind of stupid when there are multiple things that you're interacting with or can be seen on your videos that's from Cafe Press. That's just me, though. I think that's kind of retarded, but that's just me. Especially since it is an avenue that you can make money from. And people were gullible and stupid enough back then to buy your shitty merchandise. The least you could do is actually promote it. So you downplaying the website doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But anyway, tomato, tomato.
Things. I actually like the new layout a lot because, again, shows your featured video, your uploads are there, your favorites are there, whatever playlist you want to feature are right there at a glance in front of you. They're not hidden in a sidebar on the right-hand side that you have to scroll up and down to find anymore. And so for newcomers to YouTube, this is going to be really at a glance. You're going to be able to find what you want to find or find the most interesting things that I want you to see. But it really confuses me that they've done these omissions as well. So if anyone has feedback on these things, please let me know. Alright, I'm getting beat now doing this long-ass channel update, so I'm going to call it quits here. I hope this has been informative to you. Again, I'm still trying to get better. I'm in no shape to be doing a full playthrough right now. As you can hear now, I'm starting to choke because I've been talking for so long. So I'm going to take a break. Later today, you may see me putting up my Christmas tree. If not, I may do a video about the new YouTube channel layouts, going more into detail, showing you what I found about them, and then see if anyone can give feedback about how to get this stuff back that I can't seem to get to work. And that's it. So thanks a lot. Hope that this is a good update for you, that now you know that I'm at least doing a little bit better, but I am still under the weather, trying to get better. And I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for the hundreds upon hundreds of get well wishes that I've received. I will take that to heart, and I'm going to relax, and I will see you as soon as possible. Thanks.
Okay. I'm going to take that to heart and relax. Like, he ain't done shit for days. I'm going to go back to relaxing on my couch, possibly drinking. Okay, Phil. I'm not sure if gin can stave off the infection, but I guess it's a try, right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, give me a chance to square all this up, and then we'll reconvene for final thoughts. Oh, boy. Let's see here. What's the new music choices we have here? Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, what are our thoughts about this? SOPA and PIPA, to be honest with you, was still like an afterthought for me. I felt like that wasn't the focus of this video. The focus of the video was him bitching about YouTube, to be honest with you. I think SOPA and PIPA just kind of tied into it really well for him. It was really about, hey guys, I'm sick and whatnot, so give me sympathy. YouTube changes suck. And for all of you guys complaining about me uploading too much, well, this falls into the YouTube changes part of it. And don't bitch at me because it's not my fault. Get mad at YouTube. That was a nice tie-in. No, it wasn't. It was fucking terrible and lazy and not well thought out. But what else could you expect from Phil Burnell? It's a joke. It's a real joke. The sense of entitlement, the lack of responsibility, the crying and complaining about how the world is changing around him and he doesn't want it to change because he doesn't want to have to do any more than he's already doing. That thing about his parents coming by and cleaning up his condo because he's a pathetic piece of shit that couldn't do it himself. Fucking hilarious. Having to throw out garbage for him and everything. Just imagine he's what? This is 2011, so he's in his what, late 20s? Because he's what, 38 now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so he's in his late 20s. And your parents are coming by and having to clean up after you. And then I would assume that they were the ones doing his laundry too. Or at least his mother was. But that's just sad. It's just really, really sad when you think about it. Seeing him like that. And in actuality, the only reason why he was motivated to do anything is because John was coming over in a couple days. Other than that, he wasn't going to be pressed to do not a goddamn thing. And yet again, ladies and gentlemen, this right here is the foundation that he built for his empire. And it crumbled. It literally fell down almost as quickly as he put the damn thing up. He didn't have a solid foundation. He didn't have a solid idea or plan for anything that he did. And because of that, that's the reason why he fails. That's why the whole pig luck thing is I guess you could call it a detractor meme, but it's not even a meme to the fact that it's true. The fact that he's able to squirm his way out of shit is amazing, but then again, it doesn't even really matter because he still has to deal with the fallout. No matter what it is that he's able to skew by, he still has to deal with the fallout. And the reality is, he wasn't that big in the first place. I don't care what nobody said. He wasn't that big in the first place, but he's never going to ever get there. Ever. If he was able to eradicate, because there's somebody on Twitter saying they're willing to kill all detractors. Good luck with that. But it's funny to me that he still has this pathetic belief that he can eventually get back to where he was. And where he was YouTube being profitable and him not having haters and detractors basically clowning him and cutting him down for every stupid little thing he says. Well, maybe if he stopped saying stupid shit, there'd be nothing to cut down. Maybe if he actually tried and treated his audience and treated the games with the respect that they deserve instead of them being stuff that is basically owed to him, maybe people wouldn't consider him a joke. He'll never have the respect of other content creators because he never respected any of them. Or he never acknowledged them. So why the fuck would they respect him? At the end of the day, he is in an endless cycle that he'll never be able to get from under. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll say this now. I know I haven't been completely up on the bankruptcy thing and the foreclosure thing and all that. I'm behind. I will catch up. You know how I do. What I will tell you is this. He applied for Chapter 7. He's now in a Chapter 7. It's a Chapter 7 asset case. If the case gets dismissed, he's fucked. If it's Chapter 13, he's proper fucked. Oh my God, Chapter 13, I think for him would be so much worse than just the banks coming out at him to just sue him. Because if he has to go to Chapter 13, at least to my understanding, he's going to owe these people money for the rest of his goddamn life, and he's only going to have the bare minimum to live off of. That right there is worse punishment than, I think, than the banks just out and out suing his ass. Because what's the worst that happens to him? He goes back home to mommy and daddy. If he has to do Chapter 13, he is fucked. He can keep his little piggy palace out there in the Wakanda or whatever. He can keep all that dumb shit. But all that money that he has to pander for, he's fucked on. He has to pay. He keeps his little bit to keep shit going, and then he has to pay the rest of it off to somebody else. And then if he tries to skew his income in any way, shape, or form, the bank's going to be like, fuck you, pay us. They don't care. He's going to have to come up with the money either which way. So, I mean, maybe it's a good thing that Panda learned how to pole dance. Cat might need to learn how to do it too. I'm just saying. But I think Chapter 13 is a much worse punishment for him than the case being dismissed and having all the creditors come after his ass. I think it's funny, but I think Chapter 13 is worse punishment. But let's say, for example, let's say he beats all of it. Let's say if he beats it all, or if he beats some of it. So what? He's still cut down. We still know exactly where he is financially and whatnot. He's exposed in a way. He has never been exposed as much as he's been exposed now. Never in the history of the detractor community and DSP lore in DSP's life has he ever been more exposed than he is now. And the repercussions of that is going to reverberate for years. He'll never be able to outrun this. He'll never be able to talk it away. This isn't going to be like the Escort Saga Part 2. He's stuck. We got him dead to rights. And how many people really want to stick around for all that? You know what I'm saying? How many people in his fan base, I should say, are going to want to endure that day in, day out? He's merely become a stepping stool for other people. That's the reality. And that's what, it's riveting, to say the very least. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. I'll see you guys for the next video. So on and so forth. And like I said, hopefully things start to at least finish clearing up on the main channel, because I miss y'all over there and I want to get back into it, and so on and so forth. And hopefully I can finally get this 341 video up. It's a lot longer than I thought it'd be, but there's other things that I added to it because I really wanted to paint. I really wanted to paint a picture that I thought would, at least the picture that I thought would be important. Not maybe important, but that saw things the way that could show people what I was thinking. You know what I mean? And from his beginning on to now. But I don't want to ruin it though, because I think it'll be a good watch. Maybe not, but whatever. So that's the thing. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for listening, and I very much appreciate it. And I'll see you guys for the next one. This is DSP News 2nd Edition. And yeah, see you for the next video. Later. Enjoy the trailers at the beginning of the video, by the way. Oh, one more thing, actually. One more thing. Down in the description, you guys should already know this, but if you're new here, it is what it is. A friend of ours, Paul, actually wrote up a short story on the tales of Goutopia. It's DSP and the quest for the Golden Boar. I have high hopes that it turns into a series. I hope, and I actually have something in the works. Paul doesn't know about this yet, but if it does, it'll tie in some way. But like I said, time will tell on that one. But anyway, it's a short story that Paul turned into a book. There's going to be an Amazon link in my description. It'll take you to the Kindle version, or if you want the trade paperback, you can grab that if you'd like. And it's a great short story and whatnot. I think you'll like it. If that's something you're interested in, leave it down below. Some people have already been nice enough to leave some reviews on it. Thank you to those who have done so. Thank you for those who have chosen to participate in supporting Paul with that. I very much appreciate it. He very much appreciates it, and so on and so forth. And hopefully we get more of these in the future. So big ups to Paul. Not sure if I said that in the beginning of the video, but I will say it now for those who have made it this far. But the link will always be down in the description. It's the Amazon link. It should probably be the first or the second link down there. You'll find it. There's an Amazon link. You'll see it. All right, guys. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys later.